Welcome to Rakyat Bersuara, the English edition. My name is Adrian. With me today, we have members of Parliament from Selayang, YB William Leong.
Hi Adrian, I'm happy to be here again.
Today we're going to talk about AES, Automated Enforcement System, introduced by our Road Transport Department, or better known as JPJ. I use Old Klang Road a lot, and recently I found the lights, the traffic light there blink like Christmas lights. You know, it was blinking even though everyone has stopped and everyone obeyed the traffic lights. But probably YB, you can tell us more about what is this AES and this blinking lights.
AES stands for Automatic Enforcement System. The Barisan National Government has awarded the AES project to two private companies, which will install cameras in 831 locations. So it is an automatic system where when the cars pass by selected areas, the cameras will pick up if the cars overspeed. Or if they are put into traffic light intersections and the cars beat the red light. And the cameras automatically capture the picture. That is evidence, and more importantly, it is a fine of $300 per summons.
Didn't we have this kind of system and traffic lights capturing a long time ago?
This has been done before. The only difference now is that it is privatized. Previously, you have the police. All of us are used to the police enforcing the speed limits, but this time it is given to two private companies. So what the government has done, not only have they privatized our rubbish through Alam Flora, privatized the roads and the bridge, and even your shit in the water, now they want to privatize the traffic enforcement. The Barisan National Government says that it is to reduce road accidents. It is in the interest of safety. We have no problem in trying to improve safety, but we have a problem when enforcement becomes privatized. Because the enforcement of law is not a business. And this is very dangerous because it will become a precedent. First, you start off with the Road Transport Department Enforcement Agency, and then it would be the privatization of the police. We all want security, so they say, why don't we privatize security? What is going to happen? You go into the police station, the policemen will greet you very nicely, and if you want to lodge a police report, they will charge you every word $1 because it's privatized. They have to make money out of it. This is what we are against. Now these two companies, ATS Sindiran Berhad and Data Tegap Sindiran Berhad, have been awarded the entire country's enforcement.
Entire country with just two Sindiran
Berhad? Only two companies. And the problem with it is that they get to share the fine. In the previous scenario, when it was given by the police, whoever supplied the police with the cameras, they were paid for the cost. The police enforced it.
That's right.
The suppliers did not get a share of the fine. So here, these two companies are going to have a share of the fines. And the business model is that the first year, the companies will receive 16 ringgit for every traffic summons for the first 5 million summonses. The second tier, that is after the first 5 million summonses, these two companies will receive 50% of the summons up to 540 billion a year. These two companies each is going to get 217 million a year in sharing the fines. And when they exceed this 540 million, they still get a share of 7.5% of the summonses. And according to the internal projections of these two companies, they are going to get an internal rate of return of 17%, and they are forecasting that every year they are going to issue 10 million summonses. Now this is where the problem is, because in order for them to make a profit, they must issue 10 million summonses. If they're not going to issue 10 million summonses, they are not going to make money. So it's not in their interest to reduce the speed limit, to reduce the number of cars that are going to be exceeding the speed limit. They want to issue more than 10 million, the more the merrier, because profit is their motive, not security. And this is where we object to this system. The system has started 23rd September 2012.
Okay.
And in 8 days,
Just 8 days.
just 8 days, 63,558 summons have been issued. Our Chief Minister in Penang, Lim Guan Eng, an accountant by profession, unlike Chua Leong, he knows how to count. And he estimated 170 million summonses a year. At 300 summons, it's going to be 51 billion. 51 billion. Assuming you take away 1 0, even if it is 5 billion,
Yep.
that's a lot of money.
Is
And that's what we are talking about, turning enforcement into a profit-making center. And this is going to have a conflict of interest. It will affect the safety, because these two companies are not interested in safety.
Definitely. If the whole system works, if drivers were to reduce their speed on the highways and all, it's actually conflict of interest into our business, isn't it?
Precisely.
Yep.
There is this conflict of interest, because for them, the more cars that exceed the speed limit, the more summonses they issued, the better for business.
Exactly.
In relation to the cost, these two companies claim that the cost of installing these 831 cameras is between 600 to 800 million. This means each camera costs 722,000 to 962,000. It's just like our Maggi Mee.
Yep.
When our government buy Maggi Mee, they pay 8 ringgit. We always pay more than the rest. And this is another example where at the end of the day, the Rakyat is paying for this high cost. Now they say that the 722,000, they are costing them 600 to 800 million. Among the supplier of Beta Tegap, because Beta Tegap does not own the technology, does not own the camera.
They don't,
the technology,
they don't produce the camera as well?
They don't produce the camera.
Yeah, okay.
They are another agent. The principal is Red Flags Holdings Group. They are the ones that are specializing in this traffic enforcement. And in their annual statement, they are very happy that they have got the Malaysian AES contract, and they tell their shareholders their contract is worth US 50 million. US 50 million is only 250 million. But Beta Tegap and AES says that their cost is 800 million. So in the supply itself, they are making several 100 million ringgit. This is an example of rent seeking. If we are really interested in purchasing these cameras, why can't our government buy direct from Red Flags when the cost is only 50 million? Why must we go through these two companies who have no expertise other than the fact that they are agents? And in the supply itself, they have already made close to 500 million in the supply. We are not even talking about the summonses.
This is a very similar modus operandi of our Barisan Nasional, where a non-qualified, a non-experienced middleman agent did not value add to the whole contract, but got just a rent-seeking profit just overnight.
And that is exactly the situation. Look at Josh Ken, that's another clear example. So how long more must our people suffer? Why must our people be suffering in silence while the middleman is laughing all the way to the bank? So it's time for our people to realize that they should no longer be fleeced, because we know the cost. And we say that the privatization of the enforcement is putting profit above traffic safety.
Okay.
The ministry says that they are all for reducing accidents. But we are saying that because of the conflict of interest, profit becomes the overriding element.
Yep.
We have a situation where these two companies, especially Beta Tegap, the shareholders of Beta Tegap, are also shareholders of companies which won contract with the Ministry of Health. Now, the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Health, the ministers are from MCA.
Okay.
Chua Soa Lek have come out with a statement to say that Beta Tegap and AES are not MCA companies. I agree. They are not MCA companies.
Yep.
But I want Chua Soa Lek and the ministers in MCA to explain why these particular shareholders who have got no experience in the medical field get contracts with the Ministry of Health. And these same shareholders who have no interest and no expertise in traffic enforcement gets this contract. This is no longer a 64 million question. It's a 800 million to 51 billion question.
Yep.
Why these people are allowed to make this kind of money? 51 billion. And this is the problem with Malaysia. They privatize everything.
Okay.
They have run out of things to privatize. Now they want to privatize the enforcement of traffic. And later on, I'm so worried, including the privatization of the police, privatization of the courts, privatization of the prisons. Privatization is the bane of the world.
Yep.
In England, they have tried to do the same thing. In England, after the change of government, they stopped this automatic enforcement. They no longer allow this to happen, and in England, they have put an end to this. Now, if the people in England, in their elections, can do so, it's time for the Malaysians to do the same. Privatization has been with us. We have got countries in Europe, in the Americas, in Africa, all objecting to privatization. Our Prime Minister, when he said that there's going to be one Malaysia, the new economic model, that he wants to make a change, but you still see privatization is hailed and hearty in Malaysia.
Yep.
South Africa has learned from us. In South Africa, the ANC, they fought for their appetite. Now they have learned how to do water privatization. So the South Africans are also learning to object to privatization. The disadvantages of a privatized traffic enforcement system is that when contracts provide for payments based on the number of tickets, number of summonses, then it's no longer enforcement. The enforcement is no longer with the police or the road traffic department. The enforcement is in the hands of these two private companies. As private for-profit companies, they are not going to be bothered about the safety requirement as long as they get to issue their 10 million summonses each year. So you're going to find when this works, you privatize your police station, you want to call 911, they will say you have to pay $5 before they will answer your call because it's privatized. This is going to be the situation that you're going to have when punishment becomes a business.
Okay.
And from there you privatize the courts. Did you ask whether we want justice? Yes, we want justice. But do we want justice to be privatized? The answer is no. Because then we are going to end up with a kangaroo court, because privatized judges, they are going to be paid by the number of convictions, so everyone is going to be convicted. This is the situation that's going to happen. And from there you go on to privatize the prison. Then do we think that there should be a prison? Yes, we think that there should be prison, but should it be privatized? The answer is obviously no, because then they are going to seek 100% full occupancy for the prisons. So when they run out of people who to be convicted, innocent people are going to be put in jail. This is why we are complaining and protesting, because you open the floodgates. Enforcement, justice cannot be for sale.
So it's a role of government that the Rakyat entrust the administrations to carry out, but they in the hand they look for profit company and privatize it in the sense that they forsake the safety, the basic requirements of a governing, and go to private companies.
Yes. You know, sometimes fact is stranger than fiction. Some years back, we have got RoboCop, where they privatized the police. This is what is happening here. You are going to have these RoboCops in the form of these cameras, who's going to be enforcing and fining everyone, and you're not going to have a hero to fight back. It's up to us, because they are going to have abusers.
What sort of abusers? You know, when you get a camera automated by a program or a software, it can be calibrated. It can be made to be fail-safe. You know, you don't need your poor policeman to stand in the middle of rain catching you with a radar gun. But what are the abuses that you may foresee from?
From what I have been able to research, because red flags and ATS have been operating in US, in Australia, in Europe. In the US, one of the complaints is that they shorten the yellow light in the traffic light intersection, so that there is not enough time for the people to stop. So they have to shoot the red light, and they get caught by the cameras, and they are fined. So the biggest complaint there is, if they wanted to ensure safety, they should have lengthened the yellow lights to have enough time for people to stop. The other problem, reducing the speed limits.
Okay.
And not giving enough warning. Right now, you have 2 seconds from seeing the warning sign to being caught by the camera. You are not able to react in 2 seconds.
Okay.
If you can jam your brakes and stop in that 2 seconds, the car at the back is going to hit you.
Okay.
So the survey that has been done in these countries is that, yes, there were less accidents of car crossing the red light, but there were more accidents when the car jammed on the brake at the light, and the car at the back knocked down. You still have accidents.
Okay.
It did not improve road safety.
Yep.
And when you reduce the speed limits, that's going to be another problem. You create stress on the drivers. We are all assuming that the speed limit is 110.
Okay.
But if you look at the Ministry of Transport website, where they are placing these 831 cameras, they are far less than the 110. They are not even just 90 or 80. Lebuh Raya, Bayan Lepas. Lebuh Raya, the speed limit is 70 kilometers an hour.
70 kilometers for the highway?
In the highway.
Okay.
And Jalan Kurung Batang, Kangga, up north, is 60 kilometers. And the Jalan Alosta Butterworth at 40.5 kilometer, the speed limit is 60 kilometers an hour.
Okay. So I would assume that the highway cruising speed would be anywhere between 90 to 110, but 70 or 60?
70 or 60, and in some areas it's even worse.
Okay.
Lebuh Raya Selat Klang is
Okay.
50 kilometers an hour. It's not a Lebuh Raya, but you have to maintain 50 kilometers an hour.
Okay.
And Kampung Pulau Gajah is 30 kilometers an hour. And kilometer 11, Bangi to Bahau, is 30 kilometers an hour. Hussein Bolt, the gold medalist runner, he is running at 35 kilometers an hour. He is going to get a summons if he is going to be running in Bangi to Bahau.
Wow, okay.
That is the situation that you are going to have, because RoboCop doesn't know, as long as something goes faster than 30 kilometers an hour, he's going to have to pay $300. It's going to be very expensive for Usain Bolt to be running in Malaysia. If they are really interested in promoting road safety, there should be warning signs. Because it is not taking the picture to find the person. What you want is that for the driver to slow down, to drive within the speed limit. So there should be enough warning signs.
Warning signs, okay.
Big posters telling you that this is a dangerous area. We used to have it. This is a dangerous area, slow down.
Kawasan Kemalangan, big red signs, ask you to pandu cermat.
Pandu cermat, kawasan Kemalangan.
You don't see them anymore now?
Why?
Okay.
Why do you hide your cameras? Why don't you put the sign to say that there are going to be cameras, slow down, keep to the speed limit? But you are trying to hide behind the bush because you want to collect $300. And that guy is going to continue speeding down the highway, not knowing that he has to pay 300, but he could be a rich man, he could be driving a Porsche, he could be paying 300 all the way. So if you are rich, you can pay, you can drive fast. Now that is not promoting safety.
Yep.
So the other problem is engineering. We have to ask the question, why? Why is there an accident in this particular area? The first thing that we have to look at is the design of the highway. The design of the highway may be the cause of accidents. You remember the toll in Jelapang. How many buses have crashed onto it?
Yes.
Because it was not placed in the right situation, right location. And only after several accidents where passengers and drivers have been killed, did they move the toll.
Yes.
So you have to ask the cause. It's not speeding all the time. And most of the time, it is the poor design of the highway. So if you are really interested in the security and safety of the people, there should have been an analysis of our highway engineering. There should be a highway safety analysis. What is the cause and what are the changes in the design for us to lower the number of accidents? What are the real causes? There should be a proper highway design, traffic safety engineering. If this is done, I am very sure that we are going to reduce the number of accidents. The other problem is the cars may not be safe. That means they are not safe at any speed. These are the common reasons for accidents. We hear of it every festival. Overloaded kanchios crash.
Yes.
Because the cars are not in a roadworthy situation. So these are all the various areas that have to be done, and we have to put enforcement back to the police. We need to have the human face, the human touch. Sometimes if you talk very nicely, very sweetly to the policeman and explain the situation, I am rushing because my wife is going to give birth, I need to get there in time. The policeman will escort you all the way. But you cannot say this to Robocop, you cannot say this to the camera, you are going to be fine, and it's not a very good birthday for your child. You will be late. You will be able to speak to the police. As a human being, he will give you a warning. And this is what has been happening with Ops Sikap. Police in the Ops Sikap try to change the behavior, talking to them, warning the drivers. So why can't we continue? This is not a new problem. Having these cameras is not going to solve the problem because we have done it before. We have had 5.8 billion worth of summonses not paid between 2007 and 2009. And we are going to have the same problem. You have the situation where the police have to give the discount in order for people to pay. And there are thousands of people queuing up. The problem with this camera is you are going to be sending the summons to the owner of the car. And we have come across this problem in Malaysia, that the cars may have been sold several times, but it's not updated. So the previous owner will end up having to pay the summons. How is he going to prove that he was not driving in Kajang that day? Because by the time he received the summons several months later, he is not able to prove whether he was driving or his wife was driving or his friend was driving, but he's going to have to pay the summonses. You're going to have a situation where, like me, my car was stolen. 3 years later, I received summonses. Because that is the name, the registered owner of the car in the JPJ. So you are going to have situations like this where there will be no justice. Because automatic enforcement does not allow you to explain your reasons.
Well, coming back to the large amount of unpaid summonses, do you foresee that these two companies will then, because they did not, the government, the JBJ did not receive the payment for the summonses, do you foresee these two companies will again counter-sue the government in the future for not receiving their part of their money?
I think that's a real possibility, because as far as they're concerned, the summonses have been issued. If the government is not able to collect, they still want to be paid. You'll remember PKFZ. This is what is going to happen. We are going to have the Prime Minister saying that he wasn't cheated. He doesn't know what is happening. We are going to have the same situation here. The ministers are going to say, I never thought of this, but we have to pay because that's our agreement that we have made with these companies. It's the same thing all over again. We have the privatization of the power, the IPPs we are paying today. They are going to be extended. It's going to be a fine country. Everything is going to be fine, fine, fine. And at the end of the day, we, Malaysians, the road users, will end up having to pay for it. To me, the entire scheme fails. It should be put to an end. It's time for the people to stand up and stop this project, as they have done in other parts. 13 states in US have stopped it. England have stopped it. Malaysia must put an end to this.
Okay, with that, I would like to thank YB for sharing such a detailed explanation on the whole historical and what's we as the Rakyat of Malaysia is gonna get blinking lights every time we drive to the highway, and probably someone's come to our mailbox in a day or two time. With this, my name is Adrian Yo. I'm signing off from Rakyat Bersuara, the English edition. Till the next time. Thank you.
Thank you.